is the Unlimited Hydroplane High Performance Corner. A closer look at the fastest race boats in the world.
This week we have a chance to visit with Chip Hanauer, who drives in one of the safest cockpits in unlimited hydroplane racing. And Chip, can you basically give us maybe a couple of points that really make this such a safe cockpit for you?
Actually, it's threefold. Getting out of the boat in case of the accident after it occurs, letting the divers get me out. The other thing is staying in long enough to take advantage of the protection that Jim has built around me. Getting out of the boat, if the boat is damaged and collapsed around me, the steering wheel comes off with just a simple flip of the wrist and it's out to assist. The other thing is the cockpit itself. I'm very low, so I can let the boat absorb the energy. And it's the strongest place in the boat. It's built out of 3 layers of honeycomb aluminum. And then, of course, the third factor is the belts themselves to keep me in the boat long enough so that as the boat tumbles and starts to come apart, it dissipates that energy. I'd rather have the boat absorb that energy than my body. To get out of the boat after that, it's simply a flick of the wrist, and I'm out.
Across the way in the pits, the 7-Eleven crew making an engine change after their problems in Heat 1A. Imagine working in these conditions, better than 95 degrees in the shade. You can imagine what it's like in the sun. Emerson Pauly, a 7-Eleven auto racer, is in the pits and quite a fan.
Emerson, what do you think of the Unlimiteds?
Oh, they're incredible to watch. First time I see them, and it's very emotional. It was very emotional to see going by.
These drivers got a lot of courage.
For sure, to handle 3,000 horsepower is amazing.
Don?
The Eagle Snacks team has just had a team meeting. They're trying to decide if they can continue. They've had a lot of engine problems. Let's get a word with Jim Saddam, the team owner. Jim, what's the official word for the rest of the day?
Don, we were sitting here talking. We went through 4 motors this weekend. We've got one out there now that it's cracked. We could try it, but it's not going to work, and that's not racing, and that's what we come to do. We've just developed a fuel problem and don't know what it is. We've tried everything, and crew was here till 4 o'clock this morning. We finally did get the boat qualified, but it's just not working out.
As a result, we're down to only 5 healthy boats: the Miller American, Kenny Toyota Volvo, American Speedy, Executone Telephones, and 7-Eleven. There's a race with time. 7-Eleven, it's not out yet, and it must be on a plane 1 minute before the race. Well, look at this. Chip Hanauer is undoing the straps. We're down to 4 boats here in Miami for Heat 2A. This is survival of the fittest in Miami in 1985. Swinging out on the way outside, left of your screen, is the 7-Eleven with Steve Reynolds. He got out there, but we still don't know if he's legal, if he was maintaining a plane at the 1-minute gun. He has the lead, though, for the start of Heat 2A. Rumbling into the east turn, Steve Reynolds, the 7-Eleven, the first-year sponsorship for 7-Eleven of this boat. He is in the lead right now. We will wait and have to get a ruling to see if indeed he made a legal start. Steve Reynolds, his 2nd year in this boat, out of Seattle. The last time he was a winner was the last race in 1984, the Houston World Championship. 2nd place, Executone Telephones, American Speedy in 3rd. Frank Kenny Toyota, Lake Borgeson slowing down. More engine problems for their Allison engine. But back into the west turn, it is still Steve Reynolds right now in control of this. But again, we must wait to see if he's legal. We'll check the flags as he comes down the main straightaway, and he is being black flagged. We're getting word from the tower that he has been black flagged, which means he was not out on the course or maintaining a plane when he was supposed to, that being, again, 1 minute before the start of the race. He goes past the Kenny Toyota and Leif Borgeson, waiting for a tow at the end of this heat. In 2nd place, but I believe technically in 1st place will be Executone Telephones as Steve Reynolds continues his flight down the backstretch here in Miami on the 1 2/3 course. Steve Woomer, the owner of the 7-Eleven, talking with the commissioner, Don Jones. Let's get a word from Steve. What are they telling you?
He wasn't up on a plane at the 1-minute gun. He was underway at the 1-minute gun, which was the same thing as last year. Boats were underway and they let it happen. Now they're telling us he wasn't up on a plane at the 1-minute gun. Well, he was underway, and how do you describe whether he was up on a plane or not? Pretty hard to tell.
All right, you see Steve Reynolds going down the main chute, and he is turning on to the infield, so he has seen the black flag. Let's try to get an official word now from the commissioner of the URC, Don Jones. Don, what's the ruling on the 7-Eleven?
The rule book calls for being on a plane at the 1-minute gun. He was not on a plane.
That means Scotty Pierce, this man here, is in first place and a chance to pick up 400 points in the national standings. And of course, any boat, we have so few boats in the field right now that any boat that is able to run will make it to the finals, but you still have to keep an eye on the national point standings. So Scotty Pierce, who had trouble in Heat 1A, jumping the gun rather badly, is in the driver's seat now to win Heat 2A and go on into the finals. Second place to Andy Coker, the rookie out of West Palm Beach, Florida, and a chance to pick up another 300 points. He'd have 600 for the day. A great start in his debut in the Unlimiteds. He began racing back in 1958. Scott Pierce out of Seattle. Jan and daughter Jamie in the pits watching him now as he goes down the main chute. In first place we have then technically we have two boats running here in Heat 2A. The 7-11 has worked its way back into the pits as you see Andy Coker go around the west turn. Let's see if we can get a word from Steve Reynolds, find out what exactly happened out there.
Great start on your part, but they're saying you weren't up on the plane, 1 minute gun.
Yeah, I understand. We had a hard time getting it started. It was close. Once he would have gone for it, so did I.
Steve Reynolds referring to the late Bill Munsey, a legend in this sport. If anyone would try to get away with something, it was always Bill Munsey. Everybody either loved or hated him in this sport. This is Andy Coker in second place in the American Speedy Printing. Driving that conventional boat, as we said earlier, it's a tough job when you sit back behind that engine. A rough ride and very hard to steer going into those turns. Scotty Pearson first, back to Andy Coker. So right now, it's simply a case of avoiding any type of engine problems. Keep it alive, get the points, go into the final, and try to pick up the Miami title here on this very, very hot June day. What an amazing story. We started out with 5 boats for the final, then down to 4, then 3, and now we're at 2. And this man will pick up the 400 points. Scott Pierce and Executone Telephones. He had trouble in Heat 1A, but he bounced back here in Heat 2A. The winner, Scott Pierce, Executone Telephones. Andy Coker taking his time going around the left turn, as we call it, or the west turn here at Marine Stadium. And he'll simply glide on down the main chute and pick up his 300 points, and he'll have 600 for the day. So a great start for the West Palm Beach native. Second place in E2A American Speedy Printing. So the injury list looks like this. Executone Telephones healthy, 400 points. American Speedy Printing doing well, and troubles on down the line. Let's go down to the pits with Jim Hendrick.
From GOAT to hero in 1-2 heats.
Yeah, but I found the starting line that time, not over it.
Actually, the water conditions, have they changed?
It's pretty rough out there actually right now. I don't know whether it's a combination of the wind or first time we've ran 5 boats out there, but well, I don't think 5 made it, did they? But anyway, yeah, it was quite a bit rougher, but it was a pretty easy heat for us.
Scott Pierce, winner of Heat 2. Don?
Thank you, James. An added feature coming up for the sellout crowd here on the shores of Marine Stadium. That and more coming up in just a moment.